Hey everybody, welcome back to Visual Novel Book Club. I'm your pal Slowbeef. With me, of course, my good friend Devious Vacuum.
Hello, welcome back.
My good friend Turbo C.
Hello, folks.
My good friend Arin Ronan.
Hi, everyone.
My good friend Jim.
Hey, everybody.
Alright, let's drop the bullshit. D-Vac, what happened?
I was just listening to episode 4 and about how y'all displayed how lost you were without me, and I must say, I feel very loved and appreciated.
How many pages are your notes this time?
Oh, let's see. This was a shorter thing, so 1, 2, like 3.
I gotta tell y'all something, though. I do have some gamer fuel with me for this episode. This is true.
Yeah, is this a sponsored episode?
It's not. It absolutely isn't. It's not really gamer fuel. That's not the brand that I have to sponsor for real at some point, but, just for the record, this is not a sponsored podcast.
So we can say whatever we want about Mountain Dew Gamer Fuel on this podcast, and they can't do anything, right? That's how the law works?
I don't know, honestly, but I'm not gonna drink this swill. No, I'm kidding.
He was just reading us the ingredients, and they're not different from other sodas, so at least there's that.
See, and we got this sponsorship after working on Steins Gate so hard on this soda branding.
Yeah, right? Like, fuck off, Dr. Pepper. Snubbed again.
The Dr. Pepper people were like just about to click the send button, and they're like, "Oh, fuck that."
Gamer Fuel, damn, they beat us to the punch again.
I'm sure the Gamer Fuel people love to listen to visual novel podcasts.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one thing you need fuel for.
So, but what happened?
So, last time, we left off as Giselle was about to begin her tale of what happened after Michel died. And he doesn't know this part. We, the player, don't know this part. And so she agreed, and we entered the 6th door, the Maid's Tale, 1099 through question mark. So this is very difficult for Giselle, but she's telling us everything that happened to her after Michel died up until the present moment in time, which is a lot.
Yeah.
So she's gonna tell us the whole game, and what's been going on outside the parts we've already seen. So we start with Giselle holding Michel's blood-soaked cape that was left behind after he was stabbed and dragged out of the house. And suddenly, the witch Morgana's voice appears in red as it has in previous chapters, but this time she's speaking to Giselle. And she starts off by mocking Giselle for thinking that Michel was making up that there was a witch. She was like, there's a witch now, here she, it was real the whole time, don't you feel stupid? Don't you feel bad for making fun of him? And Morgana says about Michel, once I told him I would grant his wish, and says basically that that's why she was talking to him, and that he was sort of her executor in a way. Like he was sort of taking the role that Giselle was now being offered to take. So Morgana says like in the chapter full of lies, she's like, I can guarantee Michel's reconstruction, but I can only guarantee one person's reconstruction. I'll just his, not yours. And so Giselle's like, well, whatever. I'm just gonna kill myself. Like, I'll figure it out. I'll come back. And she's like, well, you won't know him. He'll remember, but you won't. And if you commit suicide, you'll go to hell because it's 1099.
Back in the days when you went to hell when you died.
Yeah, that was, the before times.
Yeah.
And Morgana won't kill Giselle herself because she promised Michel that she would protect her. So, I thought it was really interesting that Morgana specifically tells Giselle that she'll go to hell if she commits suicide because, I mean, magic is real in this, so I'm not gonna say, but that's a philosophical belief. And so I think that's kind of a hint that Morgana is just sort of saying whatever.
Full of shit.
Yeah, and Giselle even says, that Giselle even says in her narration that she was like, well, Morgana was just kind of saying whatever was gonna convince me, and, I was convinced she was herself was very convincing, and maybe I was kind of under her spell already. Like, she kind of isn't sure if she was capable of saying no at that point.
Yeah. Plus, it's 1099. I mean, an 11th century woman has to now decide, oh, I just found out the supernatural is real. Now, is all the supernatural real? Is only some of it real? It's a tough spot decision.
It's interesting, though, that Morgana needs Giselle to agree to her offer. She can't just do it.
Yeah.
Classic Satan.
Yeah, she's bound. She's bound by rules.
And so Morgana says in order to see Michel, or in order to be able to wait for him to be reconstructed, Giselle needs to live here in the mansion with Morgana forever. And she was like, Michel wouldn't serve as my guide. So, and I think there's even some reference to this in the previous chapter with Morgana talking to Michel, where his purpose was to be her guide and to, lure people to the mansion or help her curse people. She already had kind of alluded to that before.
Yeah. And at this point, does she say that he summoned or he restored her?
She says he resurrected her.
Resurrected her, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if she says it explicitly at this point, but she does say it later.
Yeah.
Very literally, yes, he resurrected her. Yeah. And so Giselle is like, if I'm gonna stay here with you, what am I doing? And she's like, well, you're gonna be my guide. You're gonna help me out. And, cause I have my own work to do, and I'm waiting for the reincarnation of several heinous sinners. And so people she hates. And so Giselle agrees. And she does kind of undergo a vampire transformation in that she no longer she's immediately devoid of all human urges. And she's also moves, I guess she's brought with the house into the sort of in-between space that it's in, when we start the game. And we're it's oh, this house is it's not in the physical world right now.
Yeah. And it's eternally dark.
Yeah, it's dark. There's nothing outside, and the windows and the doors are all locked and shuttered.
Yep. Oh, and before we move on, there's a weird joke. When the witch tells Nirvana he's gonna be reconstructed, Giselle goes but how do I know he'll be my Michel? And then the witch goes, you beat me to the punchline, because it's a Beatles joke.
Oh my god.
But I'm like, oh wow, that completely broke narrative there. But okay, yeah, just whatever. And they just move on. They never acknowledge it.
The witch is absolutely the genie of the mansion.
Yeah, she's just not bound by time and space. It's more like.
I mean, I'm pretty sure this wasn't in Japanese, so.
Oh, it's a translation joke. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Listen, Giselle, you've never had a friend like me.
Yeah.
Those are some weird meta jokes to be inserting into a translation.
Morgana's character is so bizarre, compared to the tone. I think that I don't know if this is, I assume it's intentional, at least on the English translation, but her tone and everything about her is so dissonant with, the whole mood of the whole game. She is, everything is sort of overwrought and melodramatic, and then she's, bitter and snarky and just insufferable, and I can appreciate how dissonant she is from the rest of the game.
Yeah, this game, I think, takes a lot from another visual novel, Omineko, Monako Koroni.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the first time I noticed this. They take a lot of elements from that one, and that one has a lot of witches in it. And the tone of those witches are very similar to how Morgana is depicted here.
Morgana is she's so hateful and like bitter, but in a sort of an immature way, which is interesting. Like she doesn't have the sort of gravity that I was expecting her to have. I think I said that last time too.
Yeah. It seems like it's almost like the remnant of a person, like all that exists is this hatred and the ability to manipulate other people. It's almost not like a character. It's like just like, whatever is left from this witch that was destroyed is just this being of hate.
They also have that sound effect of her laughing. I think they actually have several.
Yeah.
That's there from time to time. And it's like a mocking, but still little girl laugh.
Yeah. And Giselle says that the way that the witch speaks is very, like, sweet sounding, even though she's saying really awful things.
Yeah, and she has a weird way of, like, she'll get to a certain point and then, like, you know, come back. Like, this very manipulative way of, like, you know, say the worst thing to you and you'd be like, oh, maybe I went too far there. It's, like, it's very, like, Mean Girls kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been playing too much Danganronpa on the side, so I immediately think about Hiyoko from Danganronpa 2, who has a very sweet and cute voice, and it just says awful things constantly. And it's also insufferable.
Yeah, it's a very similar vibe. I agree.
Is that the dancer character?
Yeah, if it was voice
Okay.
acted, then I would want that to be her voice.
I see.
Okay, so let's see what happens. So, Giselle has become the maid. She's no longer alive. She is working in the mansion forever, and for a long-ass time...
She's not quite the maid yet.
Yeah, she doesn't have her uniform yet. But, so for a long-ass time, they're just in the mansion between dimensions, and time is going at its normal pace. And so she, in order to wait for these reincarnations, has to wait, physically, with time going at its normal pace. There's no accelerated time.
And it's boring for, I think, 200 years.
It's boring for 500 years.
Oh, yeah.
But I think before that, we get to see some stuff that happens right after that happens. Like she goes exploring the house.
Yeah. So, she explores the house. She finds so she goes to Michel's bedroom, the master bedroom, and she sees the torn up painting, and the painting distorts and smirks at her, and then she, like, kind of gets scared and drops it, and is like, this is the witch must be doing this. And as she falls backwards, she knocks open a drawer, and there are a bunch of letters in the drawer, and she's like, oh, I can read his handwriting, this'll be nice, and she goes to read them, but they're blacked out, like ink was poured over them. And she's like, oh, did the witch do this? Is this the witch? But then she was like, well, maybe Michel did it. And I could kind of buy him blacking out all the correspondences from his family, you know, like, cause he was so worried about being found out. But so she's like, some scary things happen, and then Giselle, goes about the house, and I think she starts crying, or she gets overwhelmed by what she has agreed to, and when she cries, the witch laughs and is like, this is what you chose. This is what it is. And, so Giselle's like, okay, I gotta keep going. I gotta pass the time. So she cleans the house 1,000,000 times. She reads all the books in the library 1,000,000 times. And it's still not even that much time has passed. And Morgana continues to speak to her in her mind. But she only says harsh things to her. And the examples they give are sort of Morgana mocking her for her choice. As the chapter goes on, it becomes more and more apparent that Morgana needs a guide. So the fact that Morgana is so awful and abusive, I think, takes on a different tone as well, of like, you know, is this all that she's capable of feeling? Like, why is she lashing out at, like, somebody who's helping her? when she has nothing, and she even says, like, I have nothing against you, like, I don't want you, I don't care, she was like, and she even is like, I want you to succeed, like, I hope it works out, but she just can't do anything but be horrible, or say horrible things.
Yeah. And I think it's real. So she's got the real carrot and the stick thing, but she also has this need to have this eternal companion that she can just abuse the complete shit out of, like, just absolutely keep abusing, like, just
emotionally, yeah, and like emotionally abusing her. It's very odd. Like it's like, Morgana, what's your deal? Is this intentional? Like, there's a part of it that feels like it's not intentional. There's a part of it that feels like this is the only way Morgana knows how to communicate with other people, and that she has some amount of feeling of that she doesn't want to be alone. But, like, this, she only knows how to feel hatred and malice and negative emotions. Maybe because she's not, maybe because she's just a memory of a person and not a full person, but...
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, I think if Giselle had met Morgana first instead of Michel, she would have been, like, snippy right back to Morgana, and they would have been the best friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. So Giselle at some point Morgana's like, look at a mirror, and Giselle looks at herself in the mirror, and she's horrified by how she feels like she doesn't look like herself anymore, because all the color's gone from her face, and she looks gaunt and scary, and Morgana's like, you have to, all your negative energy is making you look like a corpse. Like, you have to make sure that you don't deteriorate as you live all this time, or he might not recognize you. Nothing really comes of that, I guess, other than just, this is the first this sort of sets off the whole Giselle copes with her situation by sort of closing herself off from everything.
So she starts practicing smiling in front of the mirror, because that's the only thing she's confident that...
For like hundreds of years, and just being like, time for smile practice. Let me go to my mirror.
I mean, you gotta keep yourself occupied.
So it's just the daily workout.
So then, the date comes up. Yeah, the date comes up, and it, like, makes the, like, putting money in the machine sound, and it goes to 1,200, and she's cleaning, she practices smiling. Then time passes until 1,300. She tries to, like, meditate. The time passes until 1,400. She says, like, she loses her cheer and her emotions. She stops displaying emotions and feeling them. And
she starts forgetting things too. She doesn't really remember what actually happened. She just has this idea that she's waiting for.
She's lived so much longer as the maid than she had as Giselle. As Giselle, she had only lived 21 years. And so she starts to doubt that any of that actually happened. And if it did, does it matter when so much more of her existence has been as the maid?
Yeah.
And as Giselle loses her ability to display emotions, she says that Morgana is a little bit nicer to her. And she said, like, Morgana doesn't... It seems like, as much as Morgana abuses her constantly, Morgana also doesn't want her to die, go. Like, Morgana doesn't want to lose her completely, right? Like, if she had completely lost her mind and become a completely empty shell and just sat there and never became essentially dead, I think Morgana would be sad. Because she at least wouldn't be able to use her anymore to, do her maid job.
Yeah, she's breaking her down to strip away all the stuff that's going to make her at all rebellious, but she can't bring her down too far or there's just nothing left.
Yeah, so Morgana says, oh, well, you should make a maid's outfit for yourself. And so, I guess that's when Morgana gives her instructions on how to make the maid uniform, which is, I guess, appropriate for the time that they're in. But way more modern compared to what Giselle was wearing when she was alive.
And they make a point of, if we run out of thread, we'll just use the curtains.
Yeah, Morgana's like, isn't this fun?
Which is also weird because like there literally is nothing else to. There's nothing else to do except read 100 books, which he does like real fast. And then there's the only thing left is like, well, we could take the curtains and like use the loom. That's what we got.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems
And
like...
that's after 300 years.
Yeah, like it took them 300 years to do an activity. Like, you know, there weren't any activities before then that they were doing.
Well, first I take the basketball and I see how many times I can bounce it in an hour, and then I try to beat that number.
Times 3 centuries.
Yeah, so...
They kind of gloss over that, to be honest, too. In a way, maybe not gloss over is not the right word, but like, I feel like Giselle should be a lot worse off than she is.
Oh yeah, I mean Groundhog Day. At least you had the entire town without committing suicide until like a few years in. For her, you'd be like, why wouldn't you try to kill yourself all the time?
Yeah, yeah, right. Like not the.
Yeah, it's so long. She doesn't even try to kill herself. Somebody else has to do it before she realizes that she can't die.
Yeah, it's like exactly.
No, I think she just still has that image of Michel in her mind, and that's what keeps her going.
That's quite a good image.
Yeah, well,
a fucking clear-ass image. That's emblazed in goddamned... Nothing. There's no material that lasts 300 years is untarnished. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, well, she just has her memories of him, and that's it, right? And those memories get distilled into, like, some basic facts, and then that's it, over hundreds of years.
Well, Morgana's a timeless being, so Morgana just describes all of her favorite TV shows.
Yeah, but Giselle has no context for it, so she's like talking about like Golden Girls.
What is Bazinga?
Yeah. What? No, that's... Morgana watches, like, fucked up shit. Morgana's like, wow, I really liked Devilman Crybaby. Let me tell you about my favorite scene, Giselle.
Oh, no. So she's like, no, they're all the Chinese restaurant, you see, but then they said they had a reservation, but there wasn't any reservation.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Morgana does think that, yeah, definitely. The height of humor.
But her idea of Michel becomes more like a religious thing than an actual memory, I think.
Yeah, I would say so. That it's, yeah. So, 1591, the first visitor. So, after almost 600 years, Morgana says it's time for Giselle to get to work. And that is, so this, like, this is wild because I thought that there would be more things that happened between that moment and the Rhodes family buying the mansion. Like, I had figured that there was other stuff that went on during that time, but apparently not. It was just nothing. All the way until the first visitor, so that's wild. So a man pulls up in a carriage. So now the mansion isn't back in the world. So she can open the door and there's outside there.
Yep.
And she can open the windows and there's light. And so she's like completely like dumbfounded by this. And it's like a miracle. And a man pulls up in a carriage and it's clear from the way he speaks that they are in England now. And he introduces himself as Hayden Rhodes, who's the grandpa from the story. So I was like, oh boy, this is the guy who they said died fucking.
Yeah, I kept... There was the entire time I was waiting, it was like, okay, is it gonna be them? These two?
Yeah, and it was just made up, which...
Yeah.
Alright. I'll give him that.
I'll
much
take
better,
that, yeah.
Much better than Giselle potentially suffering more sexual abuse, which should never happen ever again. And so he meets Giselle, and he's like a sort of a curmudgeonly old man with a heart of gold, and he teaches Giselle modern language and etiquette and how to be a proper maid, and is sort of a parental figure to her almost. Like, he's really harsh, but he's doing all this because he wants her to be able to survive on her own after he's gone.
Yeah.
Which is more relevant to her than he even realizes.
Or does it? Because it seems like, well, we're going to get to this, but it seems like later on he catches on that this is something she needed.
Yeah. But he is very, he's a very good person and is he redoes the manor and starts the rose garden that we, learned about later. And remodels the place and also seals off parts of the mansion that aren't in use, like the chapel and the tower. And Giselle says, she started to regain some of her humanity from finally interacting with other people. And there's one line that Hayden has, which is he's telling her about his family and his son and his grandchildren, who we'll meet later. And he says, when my second grandchild was born, damn, he knew.
Yeah. He did know.
He did know. Yeah.
He did know.
I want to go back for a second, though, in that he sealed up other parts of the house. Like, I can't imagine any homeowner, no matter how big the house would be, just like, you know what, we got too many rooms.
Yeah. I don't know what to do with this spare bedroom, so I'm just gonna wall it up.
Well, he was like, the central air is cool and stuff we don't even use, so let's seal those off.
Unless he's got a nice Amontillado in there.
There was this 19th century house my wife and I looked at kind of at a goof when we were house hunting, and it had like 100 rooms in it, and they were all tiny, and it had like little secret passages and stuff like that. Like, cool. They do kind of exist, and I think I would probably want to have destroyed a couple. Not that we would ever have bought that haunted ass house, which it absolutely was, but
Oh yeah, that's super haunted. That might be this mansion from this game.
Oh my god, you almost bought it.
I know, wow.
And then just one day you just would have had a maid and you'd be like, what the? I don't know yet. Did you hire the maid? Did I hire the maid? I forget which one of us hired the maid.
But you'd be like weirdly cool with it, yeah.
Yep, guess we have a maid now. We don't pay.
Whatever.
Who calls us master? You always have to be like, hey, don't do that in front of guests, okay?
Just don't take in the white-haired girl and we're fine. Or actually, no, we're fine. But you just keep waiting. Keep cleaning while you wait, also. Anyway.
They also keep bringing up that he had sort of a falling out with his family, and they never tell us exactly why, but it makes me think that maybe that thing with the white-haired girl being born is why. Maybe he wanted to keep her and his son.
I bet that's what it was.
Yeah.
And he also sounds like the kind of guy who wouldn't like hold his tongue about stuff like that. So the rest of the family have been like, Shh, you need to go away.
Yeah, he wouldn't shut up about it, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing he said was, these things happen. And that was the only clue we get.
Yeah.
Man, family drama, am I right?
You are right.
So then some wild shit happens. So one day, Hayden's son, who never interacts with him in any way, who is Mel's dad, his son sends him a gift, and it's unusual, and he sends him tea and sugar. And Giselle's like, oh, let me brew some for you. And he's like, great. And he's like, weirdly, like, he's excited about it. Like, he doesn't want to show it, but he seems like happy that his son is like finally coming around. And she serves him the tea and he's like, oh, this is bitter. Add some sugar. And she adds the sugar and he has a heart attack. And he has a heart attack because the sugar was poisoned.
Yeah.
Hey, quick question, Mel's dad? What the fuck?
Yeah, he's out here doing bad things.
Mel's dad tried to kill Mel's grandpa with poisoned sugar.
Which is like, it's devious as fuck.
And even the grandpa's even like, I'm not even certain why he tried to do this. Probably for inheritance.
Yeah. And I would have given it to him anyway.
Yeah.
What a rascal.
Yeah. So I take back everything nice I said about Mel's parents in the first chapter. Mel's dad is a fucker and should go straight to hell. They should have killed him so that Mel's mom could be with her true love. No wonder she cheated on him. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Just wait, we're going to find this out about Jagafo.
But Mel's dad wasn't the one being punished in this. It was Mel for some reason. So we haven't found out what he did.
And Nellie.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah. So Hayden he's dying. He didn't die immediately from the poison, but this is the end for him. And as he's holed up in bed, dying, Giselle is taking care of him, and he says, tell everyone that he died with a beautiful woman attending to him instead of poisoned. He doesn't say fucking, but I can see how that could be reinterpreted into...
Yeah.
I think it's more explicit in Japanese, actually. I don't know why translation didn't...
Oh, was he saying attending while he was winking?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. I should go look it up again, but I think that I remember it being more explicit. Because after that I went and looked at the English, and
That's also a creepy thing to ask your maid to do. Hey, tell everybody we were fucking. You know, just to restore my honor. You know, just to be sure.
Well, he doesn't say we, right? Like,
yeah, no, it doesn't say we.
he says like I pretend that I was with a beautiful woman. He doesn't
Yeah.
say specifically her.
Maybe 3 or 4, am I right? Hey,
Yeah,
get
that was-
out of here, I'm dying.
So before he dies, Giselle asks Hayden for advice on how to live, and he does kind of have an idea that something bad is happening to her, and he says you have to build a cocoon around yourself to protect your true heart. And he's like, but if you spend too much time inside that cocoon, then your real self will disappear. This is heavy.
And implied in that is like this is what he's been doing for her. He's helping her to build the cocoon. The maid is the cocoon.
Yeah. Oh man. So this is a lot. I wonder how much like this particular moment. Obviously, this influenced her whole descent into being the maid. But of course, he did warn her to not let it get out of control, and it did get out of control because I'm sure he wasn't thinking on the time scale that she actually had to live. Then motherfucker died from strangling himself?
Oh yeah, because we didn't mention before, only his left arm wasn't paralyzed, so he strangled himself with the good hand.
Can you do that?
No, you cannot. You 100% cannot.
I feel like maybe what was meant was that he hung himself kind of, because I could see you jury-rigging some kind of pulley around your bedpost and using, like, your dead weight to do that. Not that I overthought this engineering butt challenge. That's morbid as fuck. But, like, this is the only way I could think is that he couldn't obviously literally have strangled himself. That makes no sense.
Yeah, what if he's got, like, one of those 4-poster beds with, like, the dangly things? And he can, like, hook it through something and then just wrap it around his neck and then just kind of, slump himself off the side. Yeah,
like, somehow, like, hook it under his, well, I guess I don't know. I was gonna say his dead leg, but like reaching down there, if he's like sprawled out. No, okay. Here's what you do: you take your belt, your robe belt. I'm not really gonna go through this, but you could lift your leg up with your free hand.
It doesn't matter where he lifts it; it's a question of weight ratios.
You just gotta keep, But I'm just saying, you get that under your leg, right, and then you slump that dead poison leg down.
Look, everyone.
And where were we?
We can discuss this in the class trial, but for now. So
we'll have a separate episode, which is like Mythbusters, but with how would you kill yourself with one good arm?
So Giselle, she finds out that so people in the mansion kind of like think that she might have killed him, but they don't really care because they're like fired now because he's dead, so they just leave. So it's just like awkward for everyone involved.
Yeah.
How does that work?
And they resent her because they're all like, "Oh, you killed our moneymaker."
Man, that's rough. Those are rough times.
You killed our moneymaker, but you're creepy as fuck, and I don't want to mess with you.
You killed our moneymaker and came out here talking about how he died having sex. Hey guys, guess who just got laid? Also, I have bad news.
It's wild.
Probably shouldn't have done that when he only had a functioning arm and, well, I guess a functioning dick too, but that's pretty much all he had going.
But no, like nobody does anything about it. They're just like, they're just like sad and leave the mansion. They're like, oh well, and they leave.
Although, to be honest, I guess your servants back in, the 16th century or 15th century wouldn't have been like, oh, I can report this to the cops. Who's going to believe? Who cares? Also, even if I do, who cares?
Yeah. Cops are just going to like, nice. Yeah.
Who would you, I don't know, the Lord? I guess he was the Lord. I don't know. Anyway, we'll talk about it in the class trial. So then, the house is back to not having a master. Obviously, surely that will be remedied.
Yeah. Giselle is very traumatized because she was just beginning to feel happy again, and it's taken away from her again.
Yeah, and so she has a conversation with Morgana, and Morgana talks about she's like rest assured, like the pain of death lasts only an instant. And she also says like that's why she wants to like torture people while they're alive. The people, her targets, like that's why she wants them to go through such misery, because just killing them is like not enough. And Morgana says that Giselle literally killed Hayden, even though that wasn't her intention. She served him the tea, and that is sort of what she means by Giselle carrying out her wishes. So, like, this is Giselle's role. Like, she's going to be involved in these people dying and suffering, regardless of her intentions. Like, she's there to be involved in it.
Once again, it's Monokuma rules for murder.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And the fact that, the breakdown here is so severe, because it's, like, number one, like, death is so easy. You probably should have done that before, but yeah, death is so easy for someone to escape. Number two, that, like, oh no, you did kill this guy just because you did it, and nothing else matters. And number three, which is like, oh yeah, he wasn't even my ultimate, like, target. He was just a cog in the wheel. So his death means absolutely nothing except for the fact that I'm going to eventually torture this other person.
So Giselle gets upset and threatens to kill herself. And Morgana starts to be like, whoa, hey, let's not get hasty here. But it sounds like maybe, like, again, like, that Morgana's, like, actually kind of worried about losing Giselle. But, when Giselle does, she stabs herself in the chest and nothing happens. So, no blood comes out, nothing. And, Giselle starts to lose her grip again, because she realized she had always thought she had an out of being able to kill herself, but now she realizes that she can't. She's stuck. And she says, in that moment, the Maid was born. And she started her sort of very calm and pleasant Maid persona. And we see this because she's speaking to baby Mel and Nellie when they move into the house. And Nellie asks Giselle what her favorite color of rose is, and she would have said red. I think she said red before to Hayden, and she says, oh, I like all the colors.
Getting that cocoon up.
Yeah. And the children, Mel and Nellie, run into the house, and Giselle can see Morgana's, like, swirling black and red hatred, like, all around the house as this, like, fog. So she knows that those are the true targets. And, Morgana, she, is like, oh, I'll explain to you what they did so that you think that this child, Mel, has to have such a bad thing happen to him. But we don't get to hear it yet, whatever it is. So the witch's story is still unknown to us. But we do get Giselle's reaction, which is that she is overwhelmed by Morgana's hatred, and how, and she's like, no matter whatever they did, like, everything about it is just, like, so, like, how Morgana talks about it is more overwhelming than whatever the contents of the story was. Yeah. And I think she struggles with feeling like she should hate these people too for what they did to Morgana. But she says that she holds on to her heart with her memories of Michel. So then, we go back to chapter 1, and the white-haired girl arrives at Rose Manor, and Giselle, all she can remember about Michel is, white hair, red eyes, named Michel, pale skin. So when she sees the white-haired girl, she's like, that must be you! That must be you, Michel! You must be here. You must finally be here. And then she talks to the white-haired girl, and the white-haired girl introduces herself as Michel. And so Giselle's like, it's you. Like, do you know who I am? Like,
The female spelled Michelle, obviously, but
yeah. And Michel doesn't know who Giselle is and is like confused and afraid at how Giselle, acts like they should know each other. And Giselle's very upset by this. And when she asks Morgana about it, Morgana says, maybe she'll remember you next time. Yeah. Which is a weird thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
What a jerk.
I want to say, so I'm watching this Let's Play in English, and the guy's reading out aloud, and he kept reading the name as Michael. And I was sure that when we got to this point, he would actually figure it out, that it's actually Michel. But he never does. He says something like, this probably works in Japanese, but not in English. And he keeps killing
and
he keeps killing the guy, Michael, and alternating between Michael and Michel whenever he's referring to it. And it's really annoying.
Oh, God. You got to bring back an old school Retro for that one.
I think we just did. No, but
they do refer to she's like, oh, it's Michelle. Just like you have the same name, like the Archangel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like even if I had been doing that and then missed the whole, like, how you're supposed to say Michelle in French without the, or whatever, that, like, you'd make the connection at least, like, Michael and Michelle are, like, the same kind of name. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the word for that is, where you have,
I don't know, it's like this guy is not aware that there is a name in the world, Michelle, that's used for men. And are Americans really that ignorant?
Oh, I see.
I mean, it's definitely possible to be an American English speaker and not have met anyone with that name, or like heard it said out loud. Although, I don't know. I mean, because I don't know. I'm sure it depends on where you're from and whether your school offers French as a language.
Can I field the question? Are Americans really that ignorant?
Yes.
Because there's a patriotic side of me that's like, no, and then I'm
as
like,
the American Horror Story expert,
right? And I'm like, no, and then I remember Twitter, and I'm like, yes.
When it comes to languages, 100%. Like, this is not emphasized in this country at all. Like, there's other things where people would be a lot smarter than you would think they would be, but in language, no.
It's not even spelled the same way.
Well, as Metal Gear Solid 5 taught me, language is really the root of all of our identity.
But also, Michel is clearly supposed to be tied to and a reference to the Archangel Michael, who is in the stained glass window.
Yeah, well, it's not Michael in the original Hebrew, so...
Yeah. It's not, yeah.
Wait, hold on, what?
Well, it is Michael, but it's not pronounced that way.
Oh, how is it pronounced? Michael?
Michael.
I think.
Michael.
Yeah,
all of these are variations of the same thing, exactly.
Don't mess with my white Jesus, God damn it.
Oh my god. Demonetized. So...
Kitty on YouTube. Get promoted.
Oh, yeah. We're going to go big on Twitter now. Hold on.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. We'll just add it. We'll just sprinkle in some white supremacist talking points to get higher on the algorithm. So, let's see. So Giselle's upset that Michel doesn't remember her, and she's like, isn't this the person I'm waiting for? Like, what's going on? And Morgana's like, maybe she'll remember you next time, which seems like a red flag there. But in the meantime, you can seek out a new master if you want. So that was, I guess, the idea that led into the Bestia chapter where, where Giselle was sort of actively trying to recruit Yukimasa as the master of the house.
Morgana's like, you could fucking pick him, jeez. But sorry.
I really don't get why Giselle's reaction here, because she waits this time, and Morgana's just like, well, I guess we'll try again in another 500 years. And I guess, she's playing her part in Cocoon and all that, but still, just like, the fire within you would burn through of just like, no, you told me if I waited long enough.
Yeah, maybe she even kind of doubts.
Don't give me this second chance bullshit.
Yeah, but Morgana also keeps telling her that Michel might not recognize her because she looks so different, and mocking her about that.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
So it replays scenes from chapter 1, but with no dialogue, and we see some bits again of the characters talking to each other and everything, and it finally gets to the end in the rain, and Giselle wonders what happened to the white-haired girl after she fled the mansion, and, like, wonder what happened after that. I don't know. They were gone. I feel like saying they were gone. And Mel became a priest, and Nellie died. That's what happened to them.
And Nellie died a couple of years after that from illness, and Mel never came back to even see her sister die.
No. I mean, why would you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right? Like, that would have been, yeah.
So, that puts this little end capped on chapter 1. Then we go to 1707, the second visitor. So, this part fills in what happened after Yukimasa killed the merchant at the beginning of chapter 2. So, then it sort of ties in Morgana, giving Giselle the idea to, like, ask Yukimasa about becoming the master of the house and if he would want to do that. After he kills the merchant, he instructs Giselle to make a stew out of the merchant, I guess, to, like, she's even, like, he's trying to, like, assert his power over her. And she's like, she just is like, I'm in my cocoon, I'm gonna do it, whatever. It doesn't even, like, register with her. But, she hesitates for a moment when he's giving her an instruction, and so he stabs her. And, when he stabs, of course nothing happens. And she just kind of, like, looks at it, and then she starts laughing. And, Yukimasa is terrified.
Yeah.
Which is great. I love that. I love that he was afraid of Giselle that whole time. That's great. And he's like, "Oh, you must be the witch."
Yeah, because for him, like, the only thing he knows is that he can survive because he kills better than anyone else. And when it's a person he can't kill, he's just like, "Oh, you must be like this all-powerful supernatural being. That's your excuse. This couldn't just be someone who I can't control."
Yeah.
She also says that he looks at her in contempt, even though he's so much worse than she is.
He made her chop up somebody to eat them. Like, come on.
So, then in chapter 2, the white-haired girl appeared, and she's like, this time too, she didn't remember, and, but she kinda does, right? So she's like, oh, I feel like we've met before, like, I feel like weirdly familiar, and she's like, yeah, but it never goes anywhere. And, Giselle, like, tucks her into bed one night and thinks about killing her, and, but she can't do it.
I gotta say, I like the writing in this a lot more now, of, like, cause we saw the, like, white-haired girl saying that, I think I remember you before when we first did that second chapter, and we thought it was just, them in reference to the first chapter, and just, the maid's eagerness to sort of let on, well, as eager as the maid can be, I guess, to understand what's going on here. I like that sort of second take on this dialogue.
Yeah, this is definitely my favorite part of the whole narrative, is the fact that they keep intelligently connecting these ideas. And I think it really resonates, where, like, you do have an emotional reaction when you're like, oh, that makes me rethink what I've seen before. And it doesn't have to be, like, amazing plot twists, but it just makes you rethink characters, and that adds a level of depth that you wouldn't normally, like, connect to, like, oh, this is just kind of a trope, but you're like, nah, there's levels to this.
And when Yukimasa's ending happens, and everybody's, he kills everybody in the basement, Giselle's like, oh, well, the white-haired girl, she's dead. Like, he killed her too. They killed her too. And Morgana's like, oh, it's fine. She'll come back. And she's like, why don't you laugh a little bit with me about this state of affair? And Giselle, like, does kind of laugh a little bit with Morgana.
It's very Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
We're like, oh.
So then finally she thinks the next time she might finally recognize me. And, but of course we know the next chapter, chapter 3, is Jacobo's chapter. And, Giselle says she finally gives up when she meets the white-haired girl, and the white-haired girl is Jacobo's wife. And
it's the worst fate of all. Like, she doesn't remember me and she's married to a douchebag.
yeah, and she doesn't remember anything about Giselle. Like, they don't remember each other. She doesn't remember her at all.
Yeah, it's a great thing, which, again, I hate to do it all the time, but this works a little better in Japanese, just a little. Because the word for that in Japanese is, she basically meets her for the first time and says, pleasure to meet you. And the word for that in Japanese is hajimemashite, which also has the nuance that this is the first time we're meeting. Like a specific nuance for that meaning.
It sounds like you have some harsh high school reunions in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will not use this word if you've met this person before. Never. So it just gives it a little bit more like extra meaning.
Is it? I hate to digress. Is it really? I don't know. Is it really rude if you use it on someone you've met but you forgot you met them? Because that sounds like I'd be fucked.
I guess. I mean, it literally means this is the first time we're meeting. That's the literal meaning of the word.
I'm saying that could be an awesome diss though. Just have that one chambered.
Hajimemashita. It's like, no, we met. Like, oh, yeah, right. I'm sorry. I must have forgotten.
Yeah, but this is what breaks her.
Oh, man. Yeah. So then Giselle asks Morgana to kill her. And she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Kill me. But Morgana won't kill her because then she would be all alone.
It's almost sweet.
So finally Morgana says, look, that Michel is not the one that you're waiting for. And
you're not even Giselle.
Yeah, you're not even Giselle. You just saw the story of Giselle and Michel and you were like, that's me, but you're not. You're actually Morgana. And I'm also Morgana, but we're both Morgana, but we split ourselves in two when we saw the sad story of Giselle and Michel. And that's, I guess, when she's like, oh, that makes sense. That's who I am.
I play JRPGs. It makes perfect sense, yeah.
Yeah, clearly the more obvious of these two options is this unbreakable style split personality disorder in supernatural way.
Yeah.
Although, she did time this well. Like, if you're gonna use that kind of bullshit argument, you might as well use it right now when she just snapped. Like, she's going through an episode. Yeah. Like, it just happened. Like,
oh yeah, to Morgana's credit, like, this is the ballsy play that you gotta take.
You know what? It also makes me wonder if Morgana had like completely convinced Giselle that she was Morgana, would Morgana then possess Giselle's body? Like, is that her goal? Because she doesn't have a body.
That's what I'm thinking. Is just to sort of completely break her mentally and sort of have a puppet body.
Yeah.
Although she didn't do it earlier when she kind of could, right? When she was like completely breaking down because it had been so like almost like 500 years alone.
Yeah, I got Morgana's friggin' patient. I'd have given up on year 100 and been like, I'm finding somebody else. This is, yeah.
Yeah, go get someone else that's more willing to become my puppet, yeah.
Like, there's definitely some dumber guy in the village who just couldn't, the psyche is way easier to break.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm not waiting, like, half a millennium just for, like, this maid lady's body. I'm sorry, you know.
What's that kid's name, Javi? Yeah, he'll do.
Yeah, right?
She was waiting for the first person whose boobs went above and below the arm.
Yeah, that's really the thing. She was like, look, I'm not getting an immortal body unless I got big honkin' bazongas, let me tell you.
Right.
Here's our episode title.
Big honkin' bazongas.
No, I'm immortal body. You do the whole sentence.
earlier in the Discord for everyone else, I posted that fucking meme about, like, big anime titties, where it's like, here's my idea for an anime. There's this character who's got real big titties, but then another character shows up who's got even bigger titties.
Fucking real big badonkahunkies. Just gets worse, yeah.
That's this game.
Oh, don't steal it either. We trademarked it. That's a visual novel book club. That is trademarked. Don't take that.
That should be our new logo.
Yeah,
Anyway,
just a trademark. So where are we? Oh, so then we get to find out what happened to Jacopo. So our old buddy Jacopo, his life is over 40 years later, and he's been waiting the whole time for Michel to return. And there's sort of a parallel between Giselle and Jacopo in this moment, where he's like, you know, was she even real? Like, what, why, you know, and Giselle's like, your wife? Yeah, she was real.
Look, I'm losing touch with reality, but I know.
He dies, and in his will, he says that he doesn't want a funeral. So he dies alone and ensures that no one mourns him. He was a bad person. The end.
So what happened to... Oh, wait, no, I was about to ask what happened to Maria, but she got fucking shot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she got shot. It also makes me wish that this game had voice acting, because then they could have had somebody doing, like, a bad Brando, like, what happened to my wife?
Oh my god! Oh, that's him, though. Wow. So the final bit is the final visitor. That's us. Michel. Boy Michel. And Giselle then asks Michel, why didn't you come for me? You know, she, like, starts to kind of get, like, worked up, like, why all this time? Like, why did it take so long? Why did I have to endure this? You know, I could hate you for this. Like, what if I just hate you now, and I don't love you anymore? And she puts her hands around Michel's neck. Our neck. The player.
Just reaches through the monitor.
Yeah. You only have 3 seconds or else you die for real.
The worst creepypasta.
Yeah. Something that I really like about this game is how many thematic elements are repeated. It's very like high school English class, but like in a good way, of like how, like, someone like wanting to strangle someone. That is a theme that is repeated. Like someone being like, I'm a monster, but I'm not human. That's like, this theme is repeated. Like these, like, I don't know, just like little details are repeated in a way that is cool.
It's like poetry. It's like, no, I'm kidding. But, that's that George Lucas quote. But, yeah, yeah, no, it's, I know what you mean, though. It's got like not recurrent theme. Almost, maybe it is recurrent theme, but it's almost like a motif it follows. Or
pull out one of your weird ludonarrative words. Pull out something made up that, like last time.
There's recurring elements in the story that different characters do at different times. I mean, like, Romeo and Juliet is referenced, and then how Michel dies in the fantasy is similar to Romeo and Juliet. Like, just a lot of those things there are a lot of callbacks and a lot of thematic elements that take place between different characters in different chapters, that all play into specifically Michel and Giselle's story in the end.
It's really nice because it makes it feel like this was like a very tightly woven fabric, you know, so to speak, or narrative, I guess. I don't know why I'm being metaphorical there, you know.
And it gives meaning to, because I think at this point you could still kind of wonder if the first 3 chapters were pointless. You know, they were just passing the time, or they were kind of. But those elements being repeated, I think, gives them weight and, like, is sort of reassuring that, like, no, these things happened for a reason. And, like, these are relevant to the story. They weren't just, like, fun little horror stories.
Yeah. I think at the very least I was, and that's like cherry on the cake. Cherry on the cake, whatever. I'm at least happy that they were real too, because I was getting kind of worried that this would have been like, nah, that didn't really happen kind of thing, you know? So I'm glad they validated it. They confirmed it and they, like, validated it, more or less, you know?
Yeah, I was actually a bit concerned about that, too.
Yeah.
So we get a prompt to deny it as Giselle has her hand around our neck. And we, 3 seconds is a long time. Like, that was a comfortable amount of time to click a button or not click it.
When there's only one option, too. It's pretty long, 3 seconds.
Yeah, it wasn't like, it was like, well, do I want to deny it? What are the options?
Yeah, you definitely wanted to. So if you don't, it's not much of an ending.
Nope.
Well, it's an ending.
It's a pretty final ending, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we don't actually know what happens. She just pushes him back. Or Michel, whatever form Michel is in at this point, because we don't know. She just takes Michel and pushes them back, and then they just go somewhere dark?
I think it gets lost to time.
I guess, but there's no resolution for that. And then she sits next to the witch by the fire. And then she's like, oh, well, I guess we're doing this forever.
Yeah. So, yeah, and the maid is still there, and we get to see things from her perspective, and Morgana's like, man, is that really what you wanted after all that? And she's like, and Morgana says, if you hate someone, then you should chain them down and torture them for all eternity, not push them into darkness. That's ridiculous. And the maid's like, well, I can't truly hate him. And Morgana's like, okay, well, I'm happy because you're staying with me.
So it's a love story after all.
The end. So that's that ending. So now we're back. So
there's the Yuri ending we all wanted. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think. Look, I think things are gonna get more gay before they get less gay. Let's just put it that way. So in the prompt, obviously we want to deny it, and Michelle's like, when I was floating in the darkness, I heard your voice, Giselle, calling for help, and he's like, I want to save you. He's like, you can hate me and be, that's fine, I deserve it, but I still am gonna save you no matter what. And Giselle has a breakdown then, and I feel like the irony is particularly strong here, and she's like, but you don't, I'm a terrible person, I've done these terrible things, you deserve someone better, someone pure, like the white-haired girl. And Michel, he still can't say it. He still can't quite admit it. And he's just like, no, that's super not, then I know, that's super not true. For reasons I'm not going to explain. Even though right now would be the perfect time to explain it.
And then this is going to go on for a while.
And so they finally embrace.
I sort of want Michelle at this point. She's just like, you don't understand who the white-haired girl even is.
Yeah. That was the perfect moment for Michelle to be like, that was me! But he still can't do it, I think. He doesn't want to say it. Because the witch taunts him in a minute.
And it really drags. It drags on so long.
I am still not 100% sure of that, though. Because there was this ending in Paris with the white-haired girl and Michel. And what was that all about? If they are the same person.
Well, we talked about that last time, that it could have just been that... Yeah. Oh, no, because it was from the white-haired girl's perspective, we think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Plot hole. That's the answer. They fucked up.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like they're going to showing us that they're the same person, but...
Well, because we were Michel, and then... We are Michel, and so then in that ending, Giselle said, no, oh, you're the white-haired girl waiting for Michel, and then we were reincarnated, and we saw Michel... presumably that we were the white-haired girl, because we weren't Giselle, because Giselle's not getting reincarnated. So that was a weird thing that happened in that ending, but
they continuously push us back towards the fact that what we assume Michel's gender is not what it is in the stories where they are assumed to be male.
Yeah, but I still suspect there's a little more to the white-haired girl's stories. And
oh yeah, I think there could be a whole backstory to this, but they're definitely, pushing both sides of that envelope. They don't want to,
So they come out of the blackness together by embracing each other, and they're suddenly back in the mansion in the observation tower. And now that they remember each other, Michelle's like, let's leave. Let's get out of here. And Giselle's like, "Oh, are you sure you want to leave? Like, what, when we leave, what's going to happen to us?" And Michel, believes that leaving the mansion will sort of will release both of their souls finally, and they'll be able to, maybe be reincarnated again, or just at least be out of this and be able to be together in some capacity in death. And Giselle asks if they can kiss now because they remembered who they are, and she's like, "You're kind of like building up to this whole like moment where we're gonna kiss. Are we gonna kiss?" And he's like, "I'm too stressed out right now to kiss you. I'll kiss you later, I promise." And
Which is the normal thing you do, as one does. Sometimes you're just too stressed out to express any sort of physical affection. Like, it's just what that happens all the time. Come on. What, no one gets this? Come on.
Yeah, it was so funny. Why is she asking that? It's just so funny. Like, everything about it is funny.
Well, and her reasoning is just like, well, this is sort of a climactic moment in, when stories, this is when they would kiss.
Yeah, that's true.
I've seen quite a few movies. I'm pretty sure this is the kissing moment, right? Come on, let's go.
Morgana's described a lot of romantic comedies.
Look, over the hundreds of books I've had to read over 5,000 years.
I gotta show you this cool ventatoscope thing. It's like amazing. Oh wait, no, that's different. Never mind.
So Morgana described a whole bunch of plots to romantic comedies, and this is always the moment where the people kiss.
Yeah.
I've written my own book. It's called Book Tropes.
But I have
Oh my
references
God.
in it, and little tiny things that link back to all the books. It's actually chain links. I actually linked all the books.
You can't see me, but I've put my head in my hands for that.
No, I somehow can, actually.
I wasn't speaking.
Like, somehow I was just like, I bet somebody's got their head in their hands.
Hey, if you have a lot of time, sometimes you're going to get into stupid pun. You got 491 years to kill.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of, like, new books in there. I really, like, that's what Giselle was really missing, like, what fandom. I mean, she could have wasted away a lot of time if she just, like, wrote fan fiction for some of those books and stuff.
Oh, God, she could have invented fanfic and meta commentary and everything.
Yeah.
We don't know that she didn't. I mean, it's a long, long time.
Morgana would have been her only audience, though. Well, I guess other than herself. Write for yourself,
Yeah.
Giselle.
So it would have been just like Tumblr, because here she is, writing her own story, and then Morgana's there to be like, that's problematic.
But let's be honest, no one's going to write their own game where they claim to have invented, something like, like, oh, look at all this fan fiction and meta commentary and whatnot. That's just me, unless you're David Cage.
Giselle just going, I've invented my own social media, and I just throw all these letters up the chimney.
Giselle contains multitudes.
Yes.
And so they're trying to leave the mansion, and they're holding on to each other's hands still. They're not letting go, when suddenly they are engulfed in darkness. Of course Morgana's not going to let them leave if that's their intention. And she separates them and kind of like holds them in place in the air with her powers. And Morgana actually appears in the CG as this sort of like faceless entity with long sort of pink hair.
Lots of
Bony
it.
hands.
Yeah, hair
She's
everywhere.
creepy.
I think when she gets a full form, she's going to look a lot like the white-haired girl.
Perhaps.
Oh, look at that. Or she could assume a form that looks like the white-haired girl. Then we have another white-haired girl.
So Morgana says that she won't give up Giselle, even for Michel, the person who resurrected her, because he threw her away again and again, which is one sort of reference to Michel being the white-haired girl. But Morgana says to Michel that he was supposed to be her guide, like the maid, because he resurrected her, but Giselle, she did his job instead. And Michel's like, no, like, you have to give her back. I'll do anything you want. Just give her back. This isn't fair that she has to do this. And Morgana says to get Giselle back, Michel has to endure agony. And he's like, fine, I will. Title card. The latest title card drop in the whole game history of F Forever. The House in Fata Morgana. The story behind the story.
Ooh.
Which is like... It sounds like, you know, this, like, director's commentary of the game is gonna start next.
Yeah, it does. What if it is? What if it is with Morgana's, like, director's commentary in red over everything?
I was so annoyed with that, by the way. Like, the story, but it sounds so bad.
It really sounds like the documentary you get at the end of the DVD. Like, it just doesn't sound like a real thing.
It's a VH1 special.
I almost read it as, like, one of those cheap and tawdry, like, the story of Fata Morgana that you never knew.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, that kind of, you know. See Giacomo's hot mistresses or some shit, you know? I mean,
I wonder what it's gonna be, because I think it's gonna be Michel's story.
Yeah, that's my guess, too.
Yeah.
Because I think he's being punished for not telling her his story before trying to get back together.
I think it's gonna be the story of Michel, and the whole gender stuff that we've been guessing about, and then also summoning Morgana?
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And then that will lead into the story behind the story behind the story of what the fuck is Morgana.
This is getting real Anne Rice, by the way. Flashback within a flashback within a flashback. Like, we're still here. We're still here. We're still here in Gothic romance with 3 levels of flashback.
Yeah. But no, I was thinking the exact same thing Turbo is, which is just like, yeah, this has to be that it wasn't, you just weren't hanging out in the ether the entire time. Clearly, you were someone that you didn't want to acknowledge being.
mm-hmm.
Although I do like the theory that Morgana could be the white-haired girl. That's cool. That's interesting.
I think that, like, I think in the climax of the story, she's gonna take, like, a human physical form, and I think it's going to be looking like the white-haired girl, and I think part of that is gonna be, based off of the fact of however Michel resurrected her or whatever, and so they have to look similar or something like that.
Yeah.
Because of some plot bullshit, but...
At one point when, so, before the choice, Giselle is kind of telling, Michel, just be with her, like, she's more fitting for you, and it's almost like there's like 3 people here, and, like, one of them looks like the other. Like, she doesn't have a form yet, but I think there's almost like this setting up of this idea of, like Morgana's just gonna be like, look, I'm just like you. I'm almost your perfect match. And that could be like that could play some kind of role in her being like, you know what, we should be together for eternity because fuck it, everybody else is a bad choice.
And I think that also would lead into the game sort of theme of, like, you could have a sort of beautiful lie or a hurtful truth.
Yeah.
Or what if Morgana is trying to get the most, like, awesome threesome going, but it's just she's really going, like, the very odd route to it. Anyway, I'm sorry. What were we talking about?
Don't call your fic slow burn unless it takes 500 years.
Oh my god.
Speaking of fan fiction, right. Anyway, so,
we'll find out next chapter something. We'll find out something.
There are choices next time, so...
Boy.
We gonna end on the throwaway comment? Is what we're doing?
Wait.
Yep.
Hold on. There's choices.
The choices coming up, so I better explain them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm reading a walkthrough again. So before we actually get... There is a 7th door, but before we actually get to that, there's like a little in-between thing. And it seems like the first choice you get is that kind of like you have to choose everything. You choose it one by one. But then there are 2 more choices that you have to make. And to get on with the game, you have to choose first, go outside to the rose garden, and then go to the den. And if you choose anything else other than that, we will get the same ending. So just choose something else once, and then you can go on with the good choices.
So save before, choose something else other than those 2, get the bad ending, then go back and then choose those 2.
Yeah. And then at the end of the 7th door, like I did right before we end. There is another timed choice, another 3 seconds. Only this time you have to fail the time limit to go on. And choosing the option is an ending.
Okay.
Huh.
Huh.
Yeah, I like that. Like, there's a lot of gameplay here. I mean, like, you get elements. I like switching up the choice thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how Morgana gets you.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Morgana you.
Morgana. That's her show.
Oh my god.
It's like punked only. Only it takes like a millennium to produce.
Now, because of Morgana's personality, like, any of these things are applicable. Like, she really is the genie of the mansion. Like, any kind of dumb bullshit, I would be like, oh yeah, whatever the most annoying thing is possible. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, she should do it.
I like how we've written her as just really annoying.
Yeah, she's just a reality TV show host at this point.
Yeah. She's one of the Pauls. She's like the Logan and Jake Paul's like mother or descendant. I'm sorry,
God.
Morgana. That was uncalled for.
I just keep, with all your stuff, like, you keep doing, like, the genie stuff, and I keep doing, like, musical numbers from Disney. I'm named Morgana, sir. I got a trick or
Like,
two or
literally
three.
that.
I'm in the mood to kill your brood. You ain't never met a witch like me.
That's gonna be the next chapter. It's gonna be Michel summoning her, and she appears. It's all pink instead of blue, but because of the hair. But like, that's literally the whole thing, and that's great. I can't wait to be done with this game so that I can see all the fan art and all the memes.
Just in time for the live action movie.
Is that what?
The live action Fata Morgana.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
like Aladdin.
Aladdin is in
Yes.
theaters now. I
Oh
think?
yes. Yeah, it sure
is.
It's
is.
out.
It sure is. Aladdin was my favorite movie when I was a kid.
I got to see it early.
Oh, you have to see all these horrible live action remakes.
No, my mom took my daughter, so I didn't have to see Aladdin. Well, all right, I digress. We don't have to. Anyway,
Yeah.
so well, I'll tell that next time.
Find out the hidden slowbeef lore next episode. Did he see the movie? What did he think about it?
Next.
So
time.
your reading for next time is to watch the Aladdin remake.
Yeah,
The live
sorry.
action Aladdin, yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
Hey, good luck.
And then Jafar's Revenge.
That was good.
It was good.
Good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.